I want to introduce to you the SETC Simplified Learning Sequence for blended, online, and even tech-enhanced courses. Our simplified learning sequence has 5 steps, and these are intended to help you determine when and what you're going to do during a typical week or typical module that you have for whatever course you are teaching. Our model is based largely on Robert Gagne's 9 events of learning. Robert Gagne is a foundational instructional designer, instructional design specialist from back in the 1960s. And he identified these 9 events that really set the conditions for learning within someone's mind. And those are things that you want to replicate in any learning process. We've also based this on the WIPIA model of lesson planning. For those of you who were in our retreat over in January, will have been introduced to this, but we're largely following this model as well in our simplified model. Garrison and Vaughn have this really nice way of thinking about blended courses, where they talk about before, during, and after a synchronous session. So while we go through this simplified model, I want you also to be thinking about this model. So when we talk about the introduction or the practice event, you want to think about when that will happen. Will that be before, during, or after a synchronous session? So with that brief introduction, let's walk through the model, these 5 steps of SETC's simplified learning sequence, which is introduction, presentation preparation, practice, evaluation, and application. Let's go. The first step is the introduction. And the introduction is used to both present a broad overview of the topic to the students, as well as to connect the topic to what the students may already know about what you're learning, as well as to help spark interest in the subject. Traditionally, in blended models, this is done before the first face-to-face session, but it can be done at a face-to-face session as well. The next step is presentation and preparation. And this is where you want to provide your students with any information, background, or training that they'll need to successfully practice or apply the knowledge and skills targeted by the lesson. This could be a wide variety of things. It could be readings, lectures, videos. It might be some kind of interactive practice. You might also have the students locate and find some of this information themselves. The next step is the practice step. And this is simply where the students will practice the skills, the knowledge applications that they'll need to successfully master whatever the topic of your module is. This is really the active learning, the doing part of this whole sequence. So you'll probably want to have this happen at least partially in one of your synchronous sessions or your face-to-face sessions. The next step is the evaluation step. And this is where you're assessing whether or not your students are getting it, right? Are they mastering those skills or understandings that they need? This can be a discrete assessment, right? It can be a quiz or a formal test or something like that, but it can also be built into some of your other activities. So you might want to think about having practice activities where the students produce a product, and you can see if you're getting it there or if they're getting it there. The final step is the application step. And this is where you really want to have your students start generalizing this information or this knowledge that they have or the skills that they have from this course, right? You want to be able to apply that in different contexts or in the real world. There's also a chance to have the students reflect on what they've done. This, again, is in traditional blended models is done outside of the class, but you might have this done in a face-to-face session. That's all for now. We'll put a worksheet up here that has these steps on it, so you can take a look at that offline as well. Thanks a lot.